Talking about the biggest questions for Week 7 next on Fantasy Football Today in 5. Welcome to FFT in 5. I'm Chris Towers. I'm here with Heath Cummings, and I wanted to start off. We usually do on Tuesdays for the Wednesday show, kind of the biggest storylines or biggest questions for the upcoming week, and we got a bunch of that. You know, we got a ton of injuries. We got the quarterback position every position is kind of a disaster right now because of the bye weeks and injuries. But I do want to start with one that I think is really interesting because it's starting to become a bit of a conversation around the fantasy space, and that is, should you sell high on Raheem Mostert right now? He has, 15 touchdowns so far? The Dolphins last season, their running backs had 12 total. Mm-hmm. If you remember way back in the foggy, distant haze of 7 weeks ago, Raheem Mostert was like a 9th round pick.
Right.
And Tony Pollard, you might also remember, was a 1st round pick in pretty much every league. And I saw a tweet on Adam Azer's timeline that I wanted to talk about. Who would you rather have rest of season, Raheem Mostert or Tony Pollard? Again, 7 weeks ago, about an 8-round difference in how we viewed these guys. There are 1,500 votes in this poll, and Raheem Mostert is winning. So I think it begs the obvious question. Is this the time to sell high on Raheem Mostert?
I am thankful you told me that because I couldn't decide, and so I didn't vote, and there was no C results, and so I didn't know. Yes, it is the time to sell high if you can get 1st round value. I have genuine concerns about Tony Pollard. I don't think that poll is entirely about how great Raheem Mostert's been. I don't think Tony Pollard would go in round 1 if we did a draft today. But if you can get 1st round value for Mostert, you should sell. At the same time, like, it's such a strange time, and everything's dependent on your record and where you're at with injuries and week 7 buys. Because I got teams where every player on my bench is not playing this week, and I can't drop them. And so, like, it's really a strange time. So it's very, very roster dependent. But yes, in a vacuum, if you can get 1st round value for Raheem Mostert, you should sell. I do think the most likely outcome is when Jeff Wilson and or Devon Achane is healthy, Mostert is in a committee and probably worth more like a 3rd or 4th round pick.
Would you trade him straight up for Tony Pollard? If you're 3-3.
3-3, I would not.
4-2.
4-2, I probably would not. 5-1, I would.
Okay, because Pollard's on a bye this week, so that does change it. Bijan Robinson or Raheem Mostert.
Bijan.
Alvin Kamara or Raheem Mostert.
Kamara.
Josh Jacobs or Raheem Mostert. Okay, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift.
Yep, all those guys.
Okay, so that Saquon Barkley you'd rather have than Raheem Mostert. So we're keeping. I guess I don't want to speak for you.
Probably,
okay.
Yeah, Barkley.
All right, so yeah, I think all of that makes sense. I think he's moving forward the rest of the way. Look, the thing to keep in mind is, as good as Raheem Mostert's running right now, last year was his career high in carries with 181. Mm-hmm. He's on pace for more than that, but we've also never seen him stay. Last year was the first time he's really ever stayed healthy for a full season. He missed 1 game. That's the bigger concern. I think there are multiple ways in which Raheem Mostert will regress moving forward, but injury concern is certainly part of that. Let's move on to more immediate concerns for week 7. We've got CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott on buys. We've got Trevor Lawrence dealing with an injury. Justin Fields is likely out. I think he's almost certainly out this week. Who is your favorite streaming option at the QB position for week 7?
If you'll allow me to go with the below 70% cutoff, it's Sam Howell.
Yes, he's like 67%.
He is 67% rostered. And so I think that one's pretty easy. Like, he is a top 10 quarterback for me, might even be top 8. I think the second best option is probably wait until Thursday morning, because I do think that it's going to be very difficult for a lot of teams to hold on to their backup quarterbacks. I like Russell Wilson quite a bit this week. But if you have to pick up another guy that's available on the waiver wire, I would say Joshua Dobbs.
You'd rather have him than Baker Mayfield?
I think I have him 1 spot ahead of Mayfield. They're right there, those 2 guys.
Okay. Let's move on to What I'm sure you're looking forward to is trying to figure out these incredibly ambiguous backfields where we're dealing with injuries. We'll start with the Rams, where Kyron Williams is likely out this week. Ronnie Rivers seems like a candidate for IR. The Rams did add Royce Freeman to the active roster from the practice squad and signed Darrell Henderson to the practice squad. They have rookie Zach Evans, who I think is a pretty interesting talent. Mm-hmm. Do you have any expectations for the Rams backfield in week 7? Is that the right way to phrase the question?
Yeah, I have Zach Evans currently ranked as a top 24 running back this week. The Steelers have given up, I think, the 6th most points to opposing running backs. I don't think Kyron Williams is that special. No, I think Zach Evans can do a lot of the things that he can do. I don't expect he'll be as targeted in the passing game, and so that's a bit of a downgrade. But I like his chances to get into the end zone. Now, the thing I would say the most about the running back waiver wire, especially the question you're asking me next, is like wait until the very last minute that you can set your waiver priority. If it's Tuesday night before you go to bed or Wednesday night before you go to bed, and check all the news. Because last week at this time, it was definitely Amari DeMarcado. And by Wednesday, we had a tweet from Adam Schefter saying Keontae Ingram's still the lead back. And then it turned out it was Damian Williams. But yeah, so just pay attention.
Yeah, the next one we wanted to talk about is the 49ers backfield. Christian McCaffrey, he's dealing with an oblique injury. I haven't seen any updates on that. He had an MRI on Monday. Oblique injuries tend to linger, tend to be pretty tricky, so that's one to keep an eye on. My guess, and I wonder if you have the same thought, is Elijah Mitchell's likely to be the lead back if Christian McCaffrey's out. There was a quote from Kyle Shanahan talking about how, part of the reason why Jordan Mason was the number 1 back after Christian McCaffrey last week was because Elijah Mitchell didn't practice except for one day last week. You made a face, though.
I think both backs are top 30 backs if McCaffrey is out. I think Mitchell's definitely more likely to play on passing downs. I don't know. Like Mitchell didn't the 2 carries he got, it's not like he did anything good with them.
No, and so 3 yards.
I do think it will be a hot hand approach, and Mason's been good lately. So I currently have it slightly prioritizing Mason, but I think it's basically put in the same dollar bid for both of them. Whichever one you get, you're probably starting. I don't think either one of them is going to see a 25 touch day.
Okay. All right. That's going to do it for FFT and 5. We'll hopefully know a little bit more about these backfield situations as the week goes on, and we'll see you next time on FFT and 5.